Excellent, excellent. How you doing, Dr. Helms?
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, I'm doing well. Here we are, riffing while black. It's been a couple of weeks. We had to take a little bit of a break, but we are back, strong as ever, ready to do our thing. When before we got on, I was, I knew what your response was going to be. I said, it's getting cold down here in Texas, and your response was,
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't have empathy. I don't want to hear it. We were talking about my friend from California saying it's cold here, and I was like, "And what do you mean by cold?" And he's like, 4 degrees. Don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it. Our listeners know I'm in Chicagoland, and we never cancel classes. And many places, I just right before we started, my university, which never cancels classes, is canceling classes because tomorrow it's going to be in the negative numbers, and I think my children will be home remote learning. So don't be talking to me about how it's cold in Texas. Don't want to hear it. No,
well, my response to her -20 was, well, it's +20 here.
go somewhere. Go somewhere. Go somewhere.
all of that, all of that. But I'm so sorry it's so cold down there. But it looks like a lot of folks are. Matter of fact, they're here in Austin, where I am. People are, going to the grocery store, doing all the extra stuff because we had the snow apocalypse when everything shut
Yeah.
down here in
Now, I
Austin.
do have empathy for that. Okay, I do have empathy for that. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it was a bit rough, and no one was prepared. And
Yeah.
Texas is on its own grid, so there's
Yeah.
all that too. So I'm expecting. My hope is that it won't be as that bad, or even we're close to it, but we'll see. But we have a nice little list of things to talk about today. Our sexual health topic is going to be about how pregnant women are objectified. I thought that was going to be a good conversation.
Uh-huh.
And then we had the games people play in relationships.
Mhm. I could do
Oh
a
yes,
whole class on that. Uh-huh.
oh yes. And then we have we're going to show a brief video about setting expectations for 2026. I know it's the latter part of January,
Yeah.
but I found a video that I thought might be useful for us in our conversation. And then talking about some discrimination of women in healthcare, particularly around breastfeeding. Thought that
Mhm.
would be a good conversation. And then lastly, we have our sad eye. Per usual, it seems a theme here. Trump in Greenland, Trump in whatever, Trump in immigration. So we'll focus on that as well. But to get us started, I wanted to pull out one of our Djembe cards.
Okay.
Uh, FYI, I had my first pitch about the djembe earlier this week.
Well,
And
congratulations.
yeah, it was fun. It was 60 seconds pitch. It was, I was sweating bullets
How did
initially.
it
So,
go?
oh, it went well. I got
Wait,
positive feedback.
did you sing the jingle? Down by the jingle.
It is a pretty good
You
jingle, I
didn't
have to say.
sing it? You didn't sing it? Okay.
I
Well,
didn't
you know
sing it,
what?
thank you.
I think you should have sung it.
Put it on the table.
Put it on the table. And
Cool.
if you
So
guys don't know
let's
what I'm talking about, if you are on social media, I'm a big TikTok fan. Anytime your deck comes up, there's the jingle that comes with it. So make sure you check it out.
please do. And thank you for that. So
Oh,
let's see. Let's do this one. And I know here we go. We've gone through some of these, but it's good to return to it. These days being engaged means blank.
hmm.
These days being engaged, particularly with all that's going on, means blank.
I
You want me to
think
go first? You want to go first?
I think I'll go first if you don't mind. I think
Please.
being engaged, so I work at a university. I'm a professor full time and see clients part time. And I haven't been on campus. I've been working from home, and now we're back in classes. And I got to see some of my work colleagues yesterday, and I was reminded, like, I work with a lot of really good people, and so being engaged, right, for me is sort of being with people that I care about. Like there was a lot of laughter, and I just thought like I wasn't exactly happy to be back at work, but I was happy to see those people and engage with them. And so it was very meaningful.
Yeah, I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
For me being engaged, I actually wrote a blog yesterday and I kind of finished it this morning was talking about faith because I think I grew up with a version of faith that said it was supposed to be all powerful with no doubt and kind of almost complete. And anything short of that was an indication of maybe your lack of faith and your lack
Mhm.
of belief in God. And I know I've come to this conclusion that faith looks nothing like that. It's something that comes and goes. It's sometimes kind of angry. Sometimes it's kind of very faithful and full, and sometimes
Mhm.
it feels very fragile and all the things. And so, what's been really nice is kind of returning to I think, a deeper understanding of what faith means. And so, I guess staying engaged means sometimes I'm fully present. I'm here. I'm ready to go. And then there's other times I might be feeling like I'm barely getting by, and I'm trying to be present, but maybe I'm struggling at, it, or maybe I'm not present at all, because
Sure.
I'm over here distracted. But I guess my version of engagement is if I'm not engaged for some reason, returning and coming back,
Yeah.
and if I am engaged, really being as present as I can in that moment. Because I think in the end, I think what the challenge is that sense of loneliness particularly when you're dealing with difficult challenges, whether
Sure.
it's political stuff, financial challenges, relationship issues. How do you stay as present in the moment as possible? And
Sure.
even if you can't, and you fail that,
Yeah. Yeah.
how do you return to that? So
Yeah.
that's how I'm staying engaged.
Yeah.
Just to give
And
you
sometimes you
some
need to
grace.
disengage to re-engage.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, cool. Well, thank you for that. I thought that was great. So I thought it might be good for us to start off with the 2026 kind of setting
Okay.
expectations, because I
Okay.
think that will be good for our conversation. So let me find it. Here you go. I'm gonna share my page here
Okay.
first. Share my screen, and I'm gonna find the link on. Here we go. It's technology. I'm not
Yeah,
as
you better than
sophisticated
me.
as young folks. And young folks from back of the day. Here we go. Screen, Instagram. There we go. Cool.
Okay.
Here we go. Uh, Play it here.
Hey y'all, if y'all followed us for any period of time, y'all know that we travel and we, like to experience new things. But in 2026, we made a list of places that we would not be going in 2026. Here we go. First one is back and forth. You're not going back and forth. Where else we're not going to that?
We're not going back and forth with you.
What's the next one?
We're not going above and beyond.
We're not going above and beyond. All right.
You're getting minimal effort.
In 2026. The next one, the extra mile.
Mm-mm.
We ain't going the extra mile.
You get a block.
Yep.
That's it. We're not going out of my way.
We are not going out of our way. We are not. And the last one, where we're not going?
We're not doing too much.
We're not doing too much.
I don't know about you, Dr. Helm, but those resonate with me in so many different ways. What was your favorite one?
I don't know because it was just funny. It was really funny because and I don't follow them. I don't even know who they are, but the way it's set up is like, okay, we're going to talk about some travel stuff, and maybe it speaks to the collective exhaustion of I don't want to speak for African Americans, but the collective exhaustion that at least in part many people in our country feel about all the things going on, and it's self-protective, so in a humorous way. So I found it funny. We are
Oh, I
not
thought it was
going back and forth, and we're not going above and beyond, and don't ask me to go the extra mile. It's just kind of funny.
I thought it was beautiful because I don't follow them either, but they seem to be more travel oriented folks.
Yeah.
And the one that resonated with me the most was we're not going back and forth. I've
Right.
I've experienced that personally in my own life, but there's so many things, and there's a few people in my life who I'm just like, I ain't going back and forth with you. I don't know what are we doing here. We're not doing this. I'm not doing this anymore with you.
I
And
think people are tired. They're tired. Right.
And what's funny is that this like this like, the entitlement. I think sometimes people feel like they're like like you're supposed to do too much. You're supposed to go out of your way. You're supposed to go the extra mile.
Yeah.
And you know what? Yeah, I want you to go back and forth with me. I'm like, no, I'm not doing any of that.
Yeah.
And so it was I don't know, it made me chuckle. I thought it would be a nice thing for us to do for ourselves, you
You
and
know,
me.
so when you encounter somebody who is maybe they're bitter or whatever, and they want to have a fight, right? Like they want to engage you in a fight, really consider not meeting that need of theirs, right?
Hmm.
Like, you know, if we're playing catch and I throw the ball at you and you look at the ball and let it fall off you, you're not playing with me. And so kind of we're not going to go back and forth means I'm not going to engage you on that level. And
Right.
I think when you have limited energy given the weather and everything going on in the world and kind of collective worry, anxiety, and exhaustion, not like sometimes you don't have it. It's okay not to
Right.
have it. I don't have it to go the extra mile and I don't have it in me to go back and forth with you and I need to be self-protective. I think sometimes we go through that and that's okay.
And that is totally okay. And I think we make those choices all the time, where we it's important to prioritize ourselves, our own sanity, as Denzel said in that movie, our righteous minds,
Yeah.
because dealing with you, it's time for you to move on. And if you can't, I'm gonna move on.
Mhm.
So cool. Well, hey, I thought that was a little humorous, but also good for conversation.
Yeah.
Um, I want to hit one of these topics that you want to bring up. I don't know if you wanted to hit the how pregnant women get objectified, or you want to do the one around the breastfeeding. Oh no, the other
Well,
one was the games people play in relationships.
how about the objectification of pregnant women that we don't
Yeah,
talk
let's
about?
do that. Let's go there.
Right. So, I think a pregnancy is gorgeous, right? And like the changes that a woman's body go through, is phenomenal. It's something that is just amazing. But what at least personally I wasn't prepared for, and looking at some of the things on social media or some of the things that happen to pregnant women. I remember I worked out in my pregnancies and I was an older pregnant person. And I remember this guy at the gym coming up to me and he's like, hey girl, uh, I heard it's good luck to touch a pregnant woman's stomach. And he stared at me and I thought to myself, motherfucker, if you touch me, we, and he stared at me like he was going to touch me. And I said to him, don't touch me, right? I don't think my experience was rare, right? And so one of the things that happens, is that people start objectifying you, they start staring at you, right? Like women are already objectified in society anyway, which is uncomfortable and it feels unsafe. And then when you're pregnant, people often feel like they have some stuff to say to you about your body, and we don't talk about it enough. We talk about the sexualization of non-pregnant people, right? But we don't often talk about how hard it is to be pregnant, to field questions that are uncomfortable, although you don't owe anybody an explanation for anything, and some of the crazy lore and myths people have to say about being pregnant, the unsolicited advice, and just how uncomfortable it can be to be stared at and strange people trying to come up to you, touching you.
I'm a bystander because I've never personally been pregnant, of course, but my partner was on two different occasions, and I'll tell you this: I was I dare to admit this, but surprised some of the nonsense that I heard from my ex-wife about the things that she was experiencing, but just things I was learning. Because for me, one of the things you started off with is that women who are pregnant, there's a very attractive, alluring, sexy aspect of it, right? I experienced that as with my partner, and it was appropriate because that was the person I care about and love, and
Yeah.
I'm objectifying her. But there's a whole nother world out there that you're talking about that I think I was a little clueless to.
Yeah, the fetishization of that crap. Yep.
Yeah, yes, like you said, objectification and minimizing and just kind of putting women and doing the inappropriate behavior you're talking about that becomes sexualized.
Yes.
And I'll be honest, like I said before, totally oblivious to it at some point in my life, but now
Yeah.
the older I become and more I hear from people, I'm just like, oh my God, this is
Yeah.
so insane.
Yeah.
And
All
it's not
while
talked about.
Yeah, it's not talked about that. And, there are legal protections for pregnant women on the job because things can get so bad, right? It is a huge medical phenomenon, like being pregnant and having children. Pregnant people have to deal with a lot. And I think we don't talk about it. But the whole sexualization of pregnant women and strange people trying to put their hands on you, right, and asking you inappropriate questions can be very damaging. And it's just not fun to be gawked at. It's just not fun to be
No.
gawked.
Well, what you remind me of is just, I mean, you're already feeling some, I don't want to speak for women in general, but what I remember hearing in my relationship is a certain level of vulnerability and feeling
Mhm.
unsafe already
Yeah,
because your body's changing, your emotions are changing or fluctuating or however you want to describe it. And then you have this incident happen. And of course, me, my testosterone levels out the wazoo. So I'm like, going overboard with being overly protective. But part of me
yeah,
wonders if that's kind of an evolutionary thing because of the very thing we're talking about, which is people being objectified, people feeling in danger because of people's behavior.
yeah.
And so there's this vigilance that comes with trying to protect people because of how they behave. I don't know. I mean, what's your thoughts?
Well, and I think that, pregnant people get very protective, of, the child that they're carrying, right? Actually, men's testosterone levels once the baby's born actually go down. I don't know if you knew
You're
that.
probably right. That
Yeah,
makes
they
sense.
actually, maybe they go up interim. I don't know. Not my area, but they do.
You never know, right?
Yeah. But it does lead you to feeling very, sometimes self-conscious and unsafe. Um, and a lot of times this contributes to, it can contribute to very traumatizing experience. I thought to myself, does this man really, he really thinks he should come up? He just waited. I heard it's real good luck to touch it. And he just waited and waited and waited. And I was like, and I thought to myself, am I gonna have to start screaming? It was just so bizarre. And I know that other women have gone through, let me keep saying pregnant people, right? I know that
Hmm.
other pregnant people have had similar experiences. And again, I brought it up as a topic because we always have a sexual health topic and people don't talk about the impact of those things enough.
Right, and I'm glad you're bringing it as people because there's trans women, trans men who can become pregnant as well,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I imagine it's a struggle that they're experiencing in their own way as well. So that kind of acknowledging that, I just I don't know. I'm listening, and I'm really glad we brought it up as a topic, but I think the lens I'm bringing to is that sense of um, I remember having a real deep sense of care for my ex-wife and
Yeah.
wanting to be very, respectful of how she's feeling, her body's changing. But then I think the other part of it is kind of like not really knowing what that experience is like for her. And so
Yeah.
I think what I did a lot of, back to our topic last week around the bird theory, was just listening. And, I
Yeah.
think important for our partners of people who are pregnant, is to listen about what their experiences are, not just the things that we all kind of talk about, which is the positive aspects, the gender reveal parties and all that kind of stuff, but it's the hard parts. The
Yeah.
thing, because there's a lot, because I guess what I'm thinking about is the shame that comes with it. You
Yeah,
know,
if there's shame, and some of this even translates into what happens through birth. Like I have a lot of clients who've had deep birth trauma, doctors who wouldn't listen, which we've talked about on our show before, traumatic birth experiences that forever stay with them. And then if they have subsequent children, really damage the process of having more children because you're anxious and you're worried and you're stressed all the time, right? Like it is pregnancy in itself. And then you have a whole group of people who struggle with fertility issues or aren't able to become pregnant. And that's a trauma in itself, if that's what you want. Right. And so, and then of course, like there's this on TikTok, right? There's Nurse John, look up Nurse John, who is, Filipino, and he does all of these kind of skits on being a nurse and talking about, when you have, for example, a straight couple, and the man who is like, oh, I'm exhausted, or my head hurts while she's laboring away, and so really kind of digging deep into what it means to be pregnant in society, what it means for pregnant people's bodies, what it means for the
mhm.
total experience, right? And the psychological and emotional things that happen to people through that whole process that you're forever changed by. To this day, every time I see a pregnant woman, a pregnant person, I'm like, you go. Been there, done that. So glad not to be doing that. Because it's just it can be a beautiful thing, but it can be a very difficult thing too.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, our society, there's aspects of our society that doesn't support pregnant people to to live a life where they don't feel that they're under objectification
Yeah.
or not under threat. They are not kind of having their head on a swivel constantly because there's someone who's saying or doing something that's problematic, and so that. But I mean, I imagine in a world where that doesn't happen, it's kind of hard because again, the more I learn, and now here I am, I have to think about my daughter, and thankfully she, she hasn't decided. I don't want to put the cart before the horse. She hasn't said nothing about no babies.
Yeah, yeah,
Let's pause for that. She has not said anything about no babies.
okay.
But if she does, I think about as being a potential grandfather. The worries I would have around that. So,
Yeah.
but those, they're worries.
There are, and I will say, like a pregnant body is a super interesting body. There are all these changes that are happening. I remember, my daughter being really little would, we'd be walking through the store and she'd see pregnant people and she'd be like, "How'd the baby get in there?" And I'm like, "Girl, you only 3. Let's have this conversation a little bit later, right? How'd the baby get in there?" And kind of touching a pregnant woman's abdomen, right? It is fascinating. It is fascinating.
Right.
But one, don't just walk up to people you know and start touching people. 2, ask somebody who you know, not even a stranger. Ask somebody that you know if that person is comfortable with that. Don't just be running up to people, touching them and talking about them and staring at them. Come on, I think we could do better.
Well, and I think what I hear you doing, and I appreciate it, is acknowledging the curiosity, whether it's a
Yeah.
kid and an adult. You see I see a pregnant person, and I think, man, I'm real happy for you. Congratulations.
Wait,
And I
that's
say,
what you
woo.
said when I was pregnant with my daughter. We were talking on the phone the day before I went into labor, and you were like, "Okay, now, don't be surprised. You're gonna be wanting to think that the
I,
baby's
I,
beautiful. The baby comes out looking like an alien. That's normal. It doesn't last long." That's what you
I,
said. Everybody, that's what you
yes,
said. I was
yes.
pregnant with my daughter, my first. I was driving. We were having a conversation on the phone, and you're like, "Don't be surprised." And I was grateful for the conversation, right? She was a little alien, like it didn't last long. She's, gorgeous. But yeah, so that's what you think. That's not what you're just saying
But
that.
that was the thought I shared. There was a thought before that. Oh, this is really great. This is so special. But your baby might have an alien head. That's all. I didn't say it all. Sometimes I don't share all my thoughts, which is probably a good thing. Forewarning, alien child. Well, I'm glad we're talking about this because I think it's an incredibly important one, and it's at a certain stage. I think justifiably people feel more vulnerable. So I think I'm glad you. I'm glad. Thank you for making sure we talked about that today. Um, we did expectations. Do you want to go to the games that people play, or do you want to go to the healthcare issue?
Well, you know what? Like, since we're on a continuum, right? You shared a video about an African American woman talking about, I don't know, are you playing the video or are we just talking about it?
No, no, no. We can just talk about
Okay.
it.
Talking about how, giving birth, I think the doctor said, "Hey, by the way, we think, your breast milk had drugs in it." Am I
Yeah,
correct on
she
that?
said some kind
Yeah.
of drug, marijuana or something. I forget.
Yeah, and she's like, "No, I don't do marijuana. I haven't been around anyone." And so she felt like kind of what happens to some Black pregnant women, right? She felt the stigma that sometimes comes with that, and it turned out her breast milk. They did not want to give, at least according to her breast milk to her baby that was born, and her baby was born premature, and she was aggrieved about it. And she later found out that they wanted to test a formula, and this is again according to her, on her
Mhm.
baby, because there's a stereotype that a lot of Black women don't breastfeed, right? And I will say I was a Black woman who did not breastfeed, and I was shamed for it, right? So
Mhm.
I'm a professor. I do have taught child psychology before. I know all of the benefits, but because I had my daughter very late in life, right? I wanted to see if I could get pregnant again, to have the other two. Not that I knew I was going to have twins, but okay. And if you're breastfeeding, it's kind of nature's birth control, right? And I had a female pediatrician try to shame me for not breastfeeding. She said, are you breastfeeding? And I said, I am not. And then she ran into this lecture about why I should and what was wrong with me. And I was like, girl, I know what the research said. Get out of here. And the next day I had a male pediatrician. He said, are you breastfeeding? And I said, no. He said, would you like a recommendation for formula? I said, yes. And guess what? He was our pediatrician because he was really cool. But, this other woman, felt she was stigmatized and wrongly accused of having drugs in her breast milk, and they wouldn't. So she demanded, she got the president of the hospital come down, demanded that her breast milk be run through the lab again. And lo and behold, she didn't have breast milk with marijuana influence. And then they were able to give her baby her breast milk. And so it goes into the whole thing about what happens to, in particular, I think women in particular and Black women especially, being accused of things like having drugs in the system when your baby's born or not receiving appropriate medical care, so that's why I wanted to bring that topic up.
Oh, it's amazingly, again, I'm going to speak strictly as a dad and having to watch these kind of experiences, a little bit feeling powerless because you're like, these are the experts, right? Yet if you're informed like you and I on many of these things, you push back heavy, right?
Yeah.
And thankfully this woman in this video pushed back because she's like, look, I don't use drugs. I don't know what
Right.
you're talking about. But clearly I'm dealing with someone who's making some prejudgments or some racist kind of commentary about what I do or don't do. And then find out later on the real agenda, which makes you think about Tuskegee, is really to test out this new formula to see if it actually works.
She wanted her child to have her breast milk, which is her right. And it's crazy, right? Like if the story is accurate, it is crazy that they were like, nope, there's marijuana in your breast milk, which is a Department of Children and Family Services issue, right? It's a child protective. So if indeed she was doing marijuana, like theoretically, depending on if you're in a state where it's legal or not, like they could take her child away. Like that's insane because you want to test out some formula.
But it speaks to the distrust I think many of us feel, particularly I think Black women justifiably when dealing with the medical system, when it's basically lying and being deceptive about their intentions, and basically trying to coerce this grown ass woman about what she should or shouldn't do with her body and her child, which is
and
insane.
Shaming her based on a lie. Yeah.
On a lie. To fulfill whatever agenda they were trying to fill at the time.
Well, she had just given birth. The baby was extremely premature. So she's already dealing with the trauma of that. And I think in the video, she's like, I just had a C-section and you're coming to me with this. And I think that's another thing, right? A C-section is major surgery. They're cutting through your abdominal wall. And then they expect you to get up, which requires, your core, right? And like feed the baby. Like, we treat it like, oh, that's no big deal, but it is major surgery.
Majors. I mean, we
women are amazing. Women are amazing.
I mean, I look at y'all and be like, y'all doing it because I don't know if I can do all that. But it's. I mean, I doubt you're surprised. I'm not surprised either. But again, I think it's important. But it's important for us to talk about these things. So if you're going to have a child, or if you're in the middle of about to have a child, I think bring awareness around this about what your rights are, about being prepared. What I was thinking about when I watched the video was it would have been nice if she had an advocate there for her. Yeah. It'd be a partner, or a family member, or a social worker who's like, hey, and pushing back. I'm a little distrustful of a social worker, not because social workers don't do great work, but if they're representing the institution, they might be compromised because the institution's trying to push a certain agenda.
Yeah. I had another experience when I was giving birth to twins. Okay. And at that time I was 41, right. Of a medical resident, right. I'll never forget. Right. And I was in labor on and off for 3 weeks, and it was awful. Okay. Pregnancy was fine. And then the last 3 weeks just kill me now. Right. And he said, the team and I have discussed, right. And we feel like this, like basically he wanted to tell me that I needed some anxiety medication. And I was like, now I'm pregnant with twins and I'm huge and I'm so uncomfortable. And I said to him, doctor, as a practicing psychologist, if I thought I needed psychotropic medication, I would be the first one to recommend this. This is not somatization, right? This is labor. And he goes, oh, I didn't know you were a psychologist. Number one, because it's not relevant, right? But number two, don't try to give me anxiety medication for labor. For labor.
In the middle of it.
Labor. Right? Right? Yes, I'm sure I'm anxious, but they ain't gonna stop this right here. Right. And he was so dismissive until he found out that I was a psychologist. And I thought to myself, that shouldn't make a difference. Right. And here I am and so uncomfortable and I'm in so much pain. All right. I couldn't even turn myself over. If I showed you pictures, which I will not, there are none, you'd be horrified. Right. And now I have to deal with this. And so I think of, on our past podcast, we've talked about women, who've been turned away, from when they're in labor, all of these things. And my experiences overall were very good. I was very well cared for. I had a great medical team. But, I had that a couple of things where he was like, oh, yeah, the team and I have discussed you're going to get some medication. And I'm like, get out of here with that. Get out of here.
That's when I feel like Mr. T. I pity the fool. You're teaming you. Yeah. I pity you, fool. But I do want to talk real briefly before we move on to another topic, because I think we're going to run out of time. But it sounds like you heard the same thing I heard around breastfeeding preventing the next pregnancy.
Well, not preventing. No, it doesn't prevent. It suppresses fertility. You can still get pregnant, right? But you can still get pregnant, but it's kind of nature's birth control, especially early on breastfeeding, that it does suppress ovulation. At least that's my understanding. But people do get pregnant. I wouldn't just use that as your birth control.
No. People is me and my ex-wife, because that's how our kids are only 18 months apart, because them fools told us something like, they didn't say suppress. They didn't say any of the words.
You didn't do your own research.
No. They we didn't have the things we have today. With ChatGPT, we had to rely on the books. And they said something, and the doctor said this. The OBGYN said, "Yeah, it's a suppressed blah blah blah." I think what I heard was he can't get pregnant, and so when came back pregnant, I was like, something. And then, of course, after that, they said, well, sometimes when you have a hard time getting pregnant, then you get pregnant, the pathways are open. I'm like, you didn't say that. No pathways and all that. So, word to the wise. Word to the wise. If you get pregnant and start breastfeeding, it may suppress, but it does not prevent.
Yeah, and it suppresses early on. Like the longer you wait, like 18 months out, you're not suppressed anymore.
It's like this is gonna happen. You're not practicing no more. It's gonna work. So cool. I just want to put that information out. I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was like, I heard that too.
Suppress, not eradicate.
Doesn't Rick? If that was the case, there would be fewer babies in the world anyhow.
Yes.
And maybe a little bit more breastfeeding as well. Let's see here. I don't know if we'll have time to get to the games people play. Do you want to leave that for next week?
Yeah, we can leave that. Mm-hmm.
Cool. So let's do this. We still have a side eye, but before we get to the side eye, I want us to go through our engagement card.
Okay.
So I'm gonna pull one out. I think this would be a good one. 3 ways I connect with my community are blank. 3 ways I connect with my community are blank. 3 of them. You want to go first? Or you want me to go first?
You could go first this one.
Okay, 3 ways I connect with my community. I'll be honest, even today I was feeling this, because I'm always on the fence about blogs and, is it relevant? Should I share it? But it's my way of connecting with my friends and family. Matter of fact, I had a couple cousins out in California who have seen some, they were kind of saying, hey, I've seen your blogs and really, enjoy them, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't mean everyone enjoys them, just means they did, right? But it's one way for me to connect with my cousins, to share some ideas and stuff like that. So whether it's my cousins or friends or colleagues doing that. So that's one way, blogs. I actually like going out into the community. I still feel like I haven't seen people since COVID. And so when I run into someone I haven't seen in a while, I'm like, hey, what's up? How you doing? And even like earlier I mentioned the pitch, it was nerve-wracking. And this is actually a new community I'm a part of, this kind of founders AI entrepreneur community. It's a new one for me, but being kind of joining it and being part of it and then presenting my idea and getting positive feedback. I think those are all ways that I try to stay engaged and connected with the community. So those are some ways I stay connected.
Yeah. For me, I think I'm not as connected. I'm just so busy with, my kids are the age where they're involved with everything. But I guess the way that I would say I'm connected to my community is through my children, because you're
Mhm.
constantly running them around different aspects of the community, voting, right? Voting, which is a huge one and a very important one to me. And what I wrote something down, but I can't read my handwriting.
Like a
I
doctor.
can't, yeah, I can't read my handwriting. I don't know what it says. I don't know what it says. I guess I'll say grocery shopping because I'm always in a grocery store. Oh,
Yeah,
so
my kids.
I want to connect with my caring about people. That's what that says.
Yeah.
Right. So like, hearing, if one of my neighbors is ill, or something like that, kind of caring about people in my community.
Mhm.
Some people in my
Yeah.
community.
Not all of them. We ain't gonna do too much.
I mean, right, we're not gonna go back and forth.
They ain't
We're
going
not
back and
going the
forth.
extra mile.
Oh no, not today. In the name
Yeah,
of Jesus.
yeah.
Cool. So let's get to our side eye. I don't know how about you, Dr. Helm.
Mm,
I've been calling you Dr. Helm since when I met you. So sometimes I should say Kathy, but Dr. Helm,
yes.
I am so thoroughly frustrated with this whole Greenland thing. And Trump, and just the buffoonery that it's on the global stage. He's been talking about this for months and months, and then he gets to Davos, which is being in Europe right now, and he basically kind of backtracks because he's seeing this full court press of the European community and others saying, "Why are you tripping, dog? What's wrong with you? What are you
Well, and
doing?"
weren't European troops called in?
Yeah, they brought a bunch of them
So
into Greenland. Yeah,
what the president of the United States says has impact, which is why one would want to think very carefully. And you can't just roll up on somebody's country. I mean, I guess you can, but shouldn't, and be like, I want it just because. I
right.
want it just because. So yeah.
And for folks who have been tracking this, you have the president of the United States saying that they want Greenland to be part of the United States, and basically Greenland is a autonomous uh, territory that's basically owned by the Danish. And I think people are on edge right now because of what the president has been
Yeah.
doing in Venezuela
It's
and
not your
kidnapping the president.
country.
Yeah, it's insane. Now, he hasn't taken over a country or anything, but still the threat feels very, very real. But it
Yes.
also feels so ridiculous. I mean, come on, bro. I mean, and unfortunately, you have the Stephen Miller's advice. His chief as a assistant deputy or deputy chief of staff, who's also professing this. You got here in Texas, you got Cruz, Senator Cruz, supporting the idea of taking on, and then I got a couple of friends who are more conservative and who are like, well, this is strategically good for us because if Russia tries to attack us, I'm like,
I just,
y'all all full
am
of shit.
so deeply concerned and uncomfortable. If somebody was like, I want Florida. I think I like the weather there. I want Florida. We would all be up in arms like, what? Like, and so it just, I mean, I don't even want to go that far down the rabbit hole. It's just so disturbing and concerning in every
Yes.
way possible. Mm.
Hence why it's a side eye. But I'll be honest, one of the things that's been nice is seeing the pushback, whether it be because of things that are going on in like Minneapolis or in New York, or you see the universities pushing back like Harvard, or the Canadian Prime Minister coming out and saying, "Bruh, it ain't not on my watch." And no, we're not a superpower like you are, but we can do something. We can. One, we're gonna speak up and bring awareness to it. We're going to
Mhm.
speak out and push back. We're going to actually put our money where our mouths are. And so we're not going to just let this happen. And to be honest, I think what people are thinking about is World War II. People kind of
It's
shoo-shooed Hitler,
dangerous. It's
you know,
dangerous.
and just kind
Dangerous.
of ignored his invasion of other countries.
Mhm.
And so I think a lot of people are like, wait a minute, let's pay attention to history here. Let's just not
Mhm.
ignore this. Let's push back.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure what's going. I'm not going to pretend that I know enough to predict what's going to happen in the future, but I think it's important to acknowledge it and give its appropriate side eye from the two of us. But if you don't know much about this, I encourage you just to learn a little bit about it, because it's like, come on. You know, they're already talking about Canada being the 51st state, which is ridiculous.
Oh, come on.
And then now they're talking about Greenland, because basically what they want to do is dominate the entire northern hemisphere. What do we do with Mexico? I have no idea, but that's kind of the agenda of some of these folks. But our last thing, we're going to have so we did our engagement card. We started off with our grounding card. We're going to end with our celebration card. And let's do this one. I stayed engaged today. Let me see. A way I stayed engaged today was blank. A way I stayed engaged. You want to go first?
A way I stayed engaged today was listening.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah. I really listen. And I'm always, I listen, but I think I have to anticipate feeling really good about the conversations that we have here, things that are important to us. And so I think there's this anticipation of like, man, I think we're going to be talking about some things that are important to not just us, but the people out there in the community. So yeah, that's the way I stay. I just kind of anticipate the positiveness. So, well, hey, Dr. Helm, it's always good to see you. And
it's good to see you too. In cold Texas, cold.
It is so. It's so chilly. It's like, I don't know. It's gonna be in the 30s. It's gonna be below zero.
That is cold for Texas, but not Chicago. 30s, you're like, this is doable. This is doable.
Hey, Chicago cold is the kind of cold that just literally the cold goes through your body. I don't care what you.
You know what? It is, but Wisconsin and Michigan got it worse. So
see, and I had a woman I was dating who was from Alberta, Canada. I was like, no, nah,
yeah,
nah, bro,
yeah,
ain't gonna work out.
Yeah.
All right, Dr. Helm, you be well, stay warm, stay safe, enjoy your day off with your kid.
Oh, I know, right? They'll be here remote learning tomorrow. We'll all be together. Yay!
We're learning together.
Yeah.
All right, then. I'll see you later. All right.
Bye-bye.